Hey, okay, so um the last video that I did for this reading of the fan fiction, it had chapter 2 and chapter 3. That's why I was wondering about that, and I think I even mentioned that in the video as I was reading. And when I was editing, I I tried to find a good place to cut, and I couldn't find a good place. So it has part 2 and 3 in it. And but this is part 4. Now, I don't think I mentioned in the video in the last video, but oh my gosh, it's such a mess. It yeah, the whole thing is a mess, but but because like so often I'll be trying to read through the dialogue and there's so much dialogue that could just be removed. It's like I didn't know how to condense. Like there'll be yes, no, this, that, back, forth, back, forth. And so there'll be a lot more dialogue than there actually needs to be. Trying to get through that. And a lot of sentences that could be fleshed out. And I mean, just the fact that there's sentences that are very first grade. It's just like I mentioned, she walked to her apartment, or she walked to the house. Elaborate, please. How long was she walking? Was she thinking as she walked? What did she see as she walked? What, I mean, was she bothered by something? I don't understand. And so, I mean, during the party, and you'll see in the video, during the party, Jack, well, before the party, he sees somebody with a black eye. Okay, well, during the party, as I was trying to read that, it was such a mess. Because I was trying to follow what Jack was doing, and again, it was so hard to follow. It was like I just past me did not understand. If you remember at the beginning in part 1, where it was like I said a sentence about the smells of the morning and then switched to something and then switched back to, yeah, it was like that. So, but the reason I bring all this up is because I don't think that I brought up that she had a meeting with the newsies. They really needed to talk to her about something. And so she's at Tibby's diner. And yeah, and so she had this important meeting at Tibby's diner. And that's where she's at. And and I'm thrown by once I finally figured out the whole math of it as to her age. I truly believe that I made her a teenager, just not that young of a teenager. Because, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have had her at around the age of what Rose, what was her last name? I don't even know. I'm trying to think of what Rose's last name was. I like I said, I don't care. I don't like that movie. But isn't she like 17 or 18 in that movie? Yeah, I think I was putting Katrina in that age range, but it turns out I was brain dead back then. And and in 2002, because I was talking to this friend of mine, and in 2002, I was 20 years old. That was a year before my seizure happened. So, I mean, that's not really, it doesn't seem that important, but in many ways it is. And because I was, in many ways, I was wandering around through life. And so, but after the seizure, I took control of my life. Before people would tell me how to live my life and everything, and then I took more control and everything. If that makes sense, it's one of those things where I can't really explain it and everything. So, and but anyway, let's get to this. And um, so she's at Tibby's, and one of the guys waves her down, and she sits with them. And already at the gate, she's snippy. I hate this character so much. I have no sympathy for Katrina. I try to have, the only time that I do is that she was knocked around. That's not okay. That's never okay. And I'm surprised that I actually put that in a story. And because even at age 20, that was before because I was still pretty sheltered at that time. So I hadn't suffered any kind of, well, I did, but I hadn't, I didn't remember it. When they say that you are traumatized to the point you forget, not kidding. And I didn't remember it until I was 22, 23 years old. And once I remembered, it was not a good experience. Anyway, so yeah, she's getting pretty snappy with them. She says, "What is this all about?" And a racetrack says, "This is about your love for." This is the first time they actually call him cowboy. I'm kind of surprised that it took this long. Yeah, she's confused. I am too. What would that have to do? So the cop at the station heard what you said and told Parker about it. And see, this is another one of those instances where I would just use random names because so Race said that it was about her love for, because she dropped that bombshell. Then another newsie says the cop at the station told Parker about it. And then another newsie continues with that. See, this is, it's like I had to use all of them in this one story. And that's so frustrating. That was one thing that I learned in a class is don't put tons of characters in. It'll just confuse the hell out of your reader. And for when you're doing a story about something like Newsies, it can be challenging, but at the same time, you need to put a number limit on it. There's another story that I did, which I'm going to re-edit, but I need a break from this time period. So I'm going to be doing my 1930s story next. And then I'll go back because I really want to work on that one. And it's called Winter in New York City. And I know that the first thing I want to do is I want to cut out a whole bunch of characters that are just not needed. They don't add anything to the story. They may add, they may say 2 lines in the entire thing. Why are they there? you know. It's the same thing here. Like, why am I saying these? Yeah, it's so when so anyway, um so uh and I should have thought of that when I did the story is, you know, number limit. When you do a story about like Newsies or the you got to put a number limit. Otherwise, your your readers are going to check out. And so okay, so Parker's looking for Katrina, and she's she's stunned. She just doesn't know. Another newsie, another newsie name. And he says, but wait, there's more. Yeah, I found out that last year Ronco passed away. I was watching one of those infomercials because I used to watch those infomercials when I was doing my homework. And in the comment section, they were saying that Ronco had passed away. And I was like, well, I mean, he was an old fellow when he was doing those commercials back in the early 2000s. But yeah, that was kind of sad. I loved watching those infomercials. I don't care what you say. They were they were actually a lot of fun. And so anyway, Parker's looking for her, and the agreement will be Parker is willing to leave her alone if you basically agree to Jack. And which, okay, I want to say that that's a that's not, but honestly, that was not uncommon back then. You know, they had hitmen back then. I mean, when you look at Evelyn, what's her name? Yeah, I think her first name is Evelyn Nesbit. She was a model and everything. Now she was caught between two men, and she married one. Well, it turns out she was faithful to her husband, but he had it in his head, you know, because she was a very pretty woman, and he had it in his head that she was fooling around, but she was not. And he uh, murdered the other guy, and it turned into this big scandal and everything. I mean, it was like the scandal of the century, you know, and everything. It was like in 1906, and all of that, and so, but I mean, but there were other things. I mean, so he did it, but there were other instances where people hired other people to, yeah, it just, oh my gosh. So it's not far-fetched for this kind of thing. So yeah, I as much as I want to say, oh my gosh, past me was dumb. No, not really. Not in this case. And because I'm sure that we could look through papers from that time and find a whole bunch of all kinds of stuff. And so anyway, um, there's more things. Man, these guys are doing a lot of detective work, little Dick Tracy's, and actually Dick Tracy's in the 30s. So I can't believe I'm blanking at Sherlock Holmes. Their Sherlock senses are going. See, they listen to me. Yeah, I just don't know. There had to be other detective stories going besides Sherlock Holmes. Yeah. I I'm sure that he wrote another detective story. The Arthur Conan Doyle wrote another detective story. I'm sure of it. But yeah, anyway. Um so they found another something or other. Her dad's partner was in on the attack and paid the guy with the black eye. Uh uh he wasn't expecting Jack to be there. The plan didn't work. I guess something was supposed to happen at the party. How would the newsies know all of this? That doesn't make any sense. I suppose because uh the what's his name, James recruited them. Did he recruit them to do all of this extra spy work and everything? I don't know. It just seems weird that they know all of this. I wrote it and I don't get it. Oh my gosh. And we're still on the first page. All right. Uh yeah. So he wanted to take over the firm, basically. This whole scheme is to take over the firm, which again, not uncommon. That kind of stuff happened even has been going on for centuries. Okay, so oh, and then somehow Titanic comes up and it makes Katrina sad. And she didn't realize how much she missed her parents until that day. Oh, and now Race is comforting her, surprising everybody there because Race didn't like her. So now all of a sudden he likes her. And, and then they're all comforting her. They're like, ah, they'll be back soon. And okay, your parents will be back soon and everything will be as it should be. She's like, what do you mean? And and Race says, your parents will see to it that you marry Parker. Oh, now she doesn't want to marry. This girl goes back and forth. Uh, because yesterday, I mean, like the day before in this story, she was nasty to the newsies and she made it clear that she was going to marry because that's how it was supposed to be, you know. And all of a sudden, because of the bombshell that she loved Jack and everything, I mean, and it came all of a sudden, right? It was like this. I still love it. Do you realize what you just said? Oh, kind of reminds me of in um in the movie in the movie Newsies where where Racetrack says, "Are you out of your mind?" And Jack's like, "It's a good idea." No, it's not. I was just joking. Okay, I'll stop quoting the movie now. Or else we'll go on a whole other thing. Anyway, I love the movie too much for my own good. Okay, so she doesn't want to marry uh, Parker anymore, which it's like now she's come to her senses. This girl. Uh, and my parents will agree with me when they hear what has happened. That's not what she said before. It's like when Jack was talking to her, she's like, "You don't know what you're talking about." Yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. Pick a lane and stay in it. It's so aggravating. That's okay. Yes, one of the newsies said they won't agree with you when they hear Jack is your choice. Yeah, sometimes this thing has good lines. That was a good one. Like it's almost like she forgets what her status is. I don't. Why is it so much like Titanic? I can't stand it. Again, I give the Titanic fans permission to make fun of me hardcore. This is fantastic. Oh, I really I made another video, like I said, where I appreciate that James Cameron made that movie. I've only seen it twice. I really don't like the movie. Saw it in the theater. My favorite part was when the guy hit the propeller and spiraled. From what I understand, they took that out. I don't understand. It's the best part of the whole movie. Oh. Good heavens. No. Anyway. But oh, where were we? Yeah. One agree. Katrina's pissing me off so much. Okay, because she doesn't know where she's. Oh man. All right. She had. Did she have stuff at the lodging house? I don't remember that. I don't remember her packing a bag or anything. Because they just told her you should go to the lodging house with us and get your stuff. I don't remember her. Okay. And she asks why, and they said, because police will think we stole from you the way things are going right now. And yeah, that's. Yeah, at any time Parker may come after you. Yeah, because he's got an attitude right now. Um, so they left, went to, especially when there was that one scene where she had one of the guys punch him in the stomach. I'm surprised that he hasn't come after the newsies yet. And oh, Spot's there. Okay, with Spot is there with that one guy, the swindler. Yeah, and like at the time, I used him quite a bit, but I he he kind of disappeared into existence. He just wasn't my favorite. Like I said, Jackal turned into my favorite. Oh, oh, he just wanted to make sure she was okay. And oh, so the Brooklyn kids are going to help Katie, Katrina. Why do I keep doing that? Again, I said, and I don't remember which one. I think it was the one for part one. Unless one of the characters uses a nickname. Yeah, but when you're describing stuff, don't unless there is an obvious name change. Yeah, I don't know. Ugh, okay, because this is driving me insane. Yeah, and now they're talking about how, oh, If you remember, Snotty was really, really friendly with Katrina. I think he's got feelings for her. And so he's pretty defensive about the fact that she had to leave. And the rest of the guys are like, we're in enough trouble. We don't need her here. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so yeah, I don't remember her packing any bags, having any. This is another inconsistency. And oh, so uh Spot's friend is whispering, I thought Jack was going to come to the lodging house and surprise her. And Spot's just like, yeah, yeah, shut up. And like, yeah, whatever. So they go up the front steps of her house and she tells them where, yeah, she's being bitchy again. Treating them like servants. I'm kind of surprised that I wrote this where Spot just went along with that because it's Spot. Okay. Okay, so she walks into the den, and sitting in one of the chairs was, of course, Jack. Wow, that wasn't surprising. Okay, so she thinks that her dad's partner paid for his release, but it turns out that Meta did. And Race went to her and asked, and so that's where it went down. And he's, trying to comfort her, like, yeah, I know you tried everything to get me out. And now she's going to be all dramatic. Everyone I know is against me. Everyone I thought I could trust is against me. And and he's like, maybe your parents leaving was a good way for you to figure all this out. And which is, I don't know, good and bad. I don't know if that's a good line. And and then he says, don't trust anyone. And then she talks about how she's known Jay and somebody else since she was a kid. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. So this has been the course of 6 days? How is that possible? I think I thought I had counted like three. I'm gonna have to go back and count again because I don't think that's right. Because he says, I've only known you for 6 days and you've changed as well. Has it been 6 days in the course of this story? Let's see, because there was, well, maybe. Yeah, I'm not gonna. But she hasn't really changed. I mean, she's having mood swings. That's about it. Oh, one of those moments, he's gonna lean forward to kiss her and then they're interrupted, so he's gotta. How many times do we see that in movies? And okay, so Spot says we couldn't open the door to your room, so we set the bags in the hall. Well, that's weird. Why would the doors be locked? Yeah, why would the doors be locked? So let's go investigate. And why are the Brooklyn kids leaving? Wouldn't they want to know too? uh, they left because they could see that they weren't wanted any longer. Okay, I'm getting so frustrated with myself right now. Spot is doing a lot of leaving in this story. I'm telling you right now. That's what Brooklyn does. Just leaves. Does it in the movie too. Here I am, now dramatic exit. It's like what is that character? Snagglepuss? Exit, stage left. That's Spot. That's what he does. Okay, so they're gonna go see what's going on with her bedroom door. I'm so glad you're here, Jack. It might be a trick. Oh. What is that from Star Wars? Or it's a trap. Oh man, if it if the meme were ever to be used, it would be here right now. Oh my lord. So, and she's not again with the bitchiness. So okay, she followed up the stairs. Good point. Okay, he says, "Hey, didn't I smash the door?" He did. Okay, the door was fixed when I returned the next morning. Okay, he steps in front of Katrina and grabs, turned and clicked. It wasn't locked. Something is afoot. Okay, so he grabs her and they ran out of the house. She says, "What are you doing?" Boy, is she dumb, man. He's pulling her out of the house and she's like, "Jack, what are you doing?" And he's explaining to her, someone was behind that door and they were waiting for us. And her the next thing she says is, "Why do you say that?" It's like the pieces are there, but they're not connecting. Didn't I smash the door? It was fixed when I was. Spot said that the door was locked. There was a click to indicate that the door was no longer locked. Oh man. And now he's saying, okay, swindler said that the bags were outside the door. I didn't see them. Who would take the time to bring stuff in? Oh gosh. That is kind of weird though. Okay. So they run into Race and all he does is say, "Hey, cowboy." And first thing out of Jack's mouth is, "She's staying with us." And okay, that's a good one. Race says to her, "Can't stay away from him, can you?" And then Jack explains what happened, and yeah, Klopman with his lines, man. I get, everyone else has shitty lines in this thing. Klopman, Klopman saw Katrina and shook his head. You're gonna end up a resident here if this keeps up. Should have used a different word than probably regular tenant is what I mean. But still, yeah. Okay, so Snotty comes to comfort her. And a lot of hand holding in this thing, I'll tell you that. Okay, so Jack says this thing. Yeah, you got me. And she says until Titanic comes. And one of them says, you're still set on Parker? And, she says, no, but my parents are. Well, she doesn't know that. I mean, I know I said in the other video that kids were bargaining chips, and they were. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's pretty much a disgrace to the family right now. She might get sent away. Because it's not like Parker will keep this quiet. Yeah. And who knows what the newspapers are saying about her behavior now. There's got to be someone talking about this somewhere. I mean, considering what happened at the party, oh, yeah, that's got to be front page news and everything. Oh, we'll see right here. All right. You're 19, you should make your own decision. See, I thought that I did the wrong math. Oh man. Yeah, because I'm not going to go through that whole thing again. So obviously I thought that she was 19, but if she were 6 and he were 17 in 1899, there's no way that, yeah, no way. Anyway, God. Good grief. That's, yeah. So we're just going to say that she's 19, just for, anyway, I think we've established that. Even though by actual mathematics, she's so uncomfortable. Anyway, so she's realizing how much of a hold her parents had on, yeah, because they did back then. I mean, you watch Titanic, and that's actually how it was back then. I never went against my parents before. Okay, now she's worried about James. So now they're gonna, a couple of the newsies are gonna go and check on James, make sure he's okay. Which I still say, James, if he's a manservant to her dad, was supposed to be with her dad. That's the whole point of it. See, one more, I manservant, you're supposed to be with, okay. Anyway, look at me using fancy words, not knowing what they mean. Past me was such a dumbass. Okay, so one of the newsies asks, why can't the police do something about Parker? And one of the other newsies replies, because he pays him to stay off his back, which is, yeah, that's pretty much what, and especially in the 20s, uh, one of the reasons why the police didn't go after gangsters is because they were in the gangsters' pockets. Oh man. Okay, and then one of the guys says, not Officer Ford. He's not in anyone's pocket because at the party, he tried to get Katrina to press charges against uh, Parker. Uh, but then why would he tell Parker about what happened in the cell? Yeah, good question. Because he doesn't like newsies or sweatshop kids, I guess. Which, again, not uncommon. That's an obvious thing. Could be he had a personal vendetta against Jack. There were oftentimes where the police had a personal problem against certain street kids, and once they were in, like, well, if you've seen Newsies, Snyder had a problem, and once he had Jack in his clutches, boy, it was like Christmas. Okay, so she's going to bed, and then the Newsies are talking to Jack now. See, this is a problem. Is and I still have this problem. When I'm editing this book, I have to pull out a lot of repetition. It's like, well, this character has already said this, has already done this, already thought about this. Take it out. Take it. How many times do I have to talk about this? And I mean, to say it once, maybe twice, fine. But to say it 6 or 7 times, no. It's um so because right here, if you love her, do everything to help her. How many times do we need the newsies to say, we want to protect you, we want to help you, and blah 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 blah. I mean, this is part 4, and we're still hearing about this. Oh, the door swings open again. Oh. Oh, there was nobody there. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jack, but there was nobody there. So, um, they're asking about James. Yeah, he's fine. He went to the apartments to visit with a friend, and when he was supposed to be working. Hmm. Of course, technically he's not working because he's the dad's manservant, and the dad is, yeah. It's just like in the first chapter where technically she didn't put on a dress, so she's romping around in her underwear. This is a weird family, I tell you what. Okay, so they're going to sleep, and now it's the next morning. Let's see. She was up and ready before the other newsies. See, I would do that a lot too. It was like I would say certain things so that I didn't have to describe, again, Achilles heel. Uh, she had to get ready for church. Oh, it's Sunday. Okay, so Jack is checking on her. Um, so he's smiling at her. She asks what's going on. She's confused, and he says, "Just a few days ago, you needed your servant to help you get dressed." And I keep getting stuff in my eye, and it's really annoying. Okay. It's funny that I mentioned that because I've been mentioning it throughout. Okay, so you need your servant to help you dress. What happened? And she's embarrassed. I decided not to bother with it. She's not wearing her. That was important. You were supposed to wear it. Okay, so she's gonna go to church, and where'd the dress come from? I left it here yesterday. So she left one dress, but okay. Seriously, set this whole thing. That makes no sense. Did she know that she was going to come back? She had the luggage, the suitcase, which the luggage in the suitcase, I don't remember her bringing over when make it stop. And I don't know why my eyes are itching so much. I'm sure it's aggravating to you. It's aggravating to me too. They just decided, you know what? You're recording. We're going to do this. Oh, I hate when my body does that. Don't you hate that? It's like like there are times when I record and my back decides, you know what? You need to move around a lot. So that's why a lot of times in my recordings I move around because my back is just it hurts so much. But anyway. Oh, once you hit 40, it's all downhill from there. Anyway, enjoy it while you can. To my younger viewers, enjoy it while you can. Oh my goodness. Okay, so she's actually saying, why don't you why don't you come with me to church? He looked at her as if she were insane. Okay, that's good. Okay, if you've ever seen the movie and when David says, as soon as you give our demands to Pulitzer, and Jack just stares at David like this is what I'm thinking. And he goes, me to Pulitzer? Like you, you must be mad. Yeah, because he goes, me go to church? And I wonder if that's where I got it from. Oh man. Oh. Oh, so yeah, because he says he's not dressed for it and he could wear the suit that he wore at the party. He's very reluctant about it. He wasn't sure about going to church with Katrina because of all the news surrounding them. Has he been selling this whole time? I mean, he was in jail for like a day and a half, if that. And so has he been selling? Does he? See, because this is this is frustrating me. Oh, geez. He then thought maybe Katrina was trying to show her aristocratic friends that there is more to a newsie than just news. That is the worst line ever. Oh, set that one on fire. Okay, so he's telling the guys that he's going to go to church with Katrina. Oh, and they want to come too. Are you serious? Oh, okay. Now Spot came in and he's asking, what are you waiting for? She said, the guys want to go to church with me. I'm just waiting for them to get ready. And he's tapping his cane on the side of on the side of the registration desk. And he says, interesting. And she says, you think they should go? And well, this is kind of confusing. He says, Newsies in church ain't heard of. I think that isn't worded correctly. So they leave and they walk in the church and everyone's staring at them. Yeah. How do they know that they're Newsies though? Because if these are the same people that went to the party, then they would just recognize these guys from the party. That doesn't make any sense, right? I think they're oh lordy. But then again, I guess because of what happened at the party, and then maybe Parker put out some articles and everything and all that. Yeah, but I didn't elaborate on that. See, that would have made this a better story. uh, I liked to use the last name Carter a lot, and I think it's because of I was researching a lot on the on no, I know what it was. In 2002, it was the anniversary of finding King Tut's tomb, and and I actually seems like I did a video on when I was doing videos on books to read and everything, and I have a book that is The Murder of King Tut. It's completely outdated, of course, and but so of course the last name is having to do with Howard Carter, and but it seems like they had found something, and I don't remember what it was. It was like a discovery of some kind. I think it's my hair that's making me itch right there between my eyes. But it seems like they had found something back in 2002. And I don't know if it was at the site or if it was on King Tut himself or in like inside the tomb or what have you. I don't remember, but I do remember that there was like some kind of discovery of some kind. And not long after that, there was that book that I bought. So, but anyway, yeah, but it was the anniversary of the finding of. Oh wow, that would make this year the 100th anniversary, wouldn't it? Yeah, because if it was 1922, then that would make this year 100th. No kidding. Huh. Well, there you go. Yeah. So, because in what's happening here is like it has Pastor Carter is saying that these guys need to leave, and there's all this, and the organ starts to play, and there's the singing of the hymns. And then of course the sermon goes. God, I have this hair that just that's what's making me itch right here. Oh, those stray hairs, man. Okay, so now Jay Parker is keeping them from leaving. Oh, geez. Some of these lines, yeah. See, this is, I was talking about it at the beginning of the video. Um, just a lot of dialogue that should be cut out. It needs to be removed, and that's what's happening here. And just in the span of this, could be just this. It's not adding anything to the scene. So I have to go through, and it's like, okay, so Parker shows up and he's upset because she's with these guys. Yeah, but he's no better because he's been wandering around behind the scenes. I bet he's upset because Jack is out of jail. Well, she didn't get him out of jail because obviously she couldn't. Her money was useless. And it was Meta that paid for him. And um, yeah, how do these people know that they're newsies? There's no way. I mean, they're dressed nice. They're wearing the same suits as before. And quite honestly, yeah. See, that wasn't okay. Yeah, I don't understand why she wouldn't want to talk to me. We are practically engaged. Wow, you would still want to marry her after everything. This doesn't make any sense. This is in a church, too. This is happening inside of a church. Okay, so now they're saying that they just want to leave. Pastor Carter has showed up and said, "What's going on? What is this all about?" And one of the news, he says, "We just want to leave," but Parker here won't get out of the way. And see what happens when you bring rabble off the streets into the church. And yeah. Parker was part of it too. But yeah, let's just go after them, whatever. Okay, and so she's on a soapbox right now, going all kinds of nuts. And this scene probably could have been interesting if it hadn't been for having to read through all that other junk. And holy, okay. So So here she is. She's going on. I mean, like the sermon was basically about I think it was about the getting the slaves out of Egypt and all that. And so she's, trying to make a big speech about how the sweatshop kids and everything, you know, Pastor Carter should listen to his own and realize that it's still happening and all this stuff and yada yada yada. And again, it's one of those that it could work if more polished and not have to read all the junk. And I'm kind of surprised that I used that, did the whole connection thing. But again, it's like all this could have been condensed. I mean, like Tolkien is wordy, but he has something to say. This, no, it's a whole bunch of nothingness. And it's word vomit is what it is. And and I was the one that said it. Past me said it. But after all that, after her big, soapbox nonsense, it does remind me of if you've ever seen Monty Python's Life of Brian. There's that moment where he falls into the streets, and the Roman soldiers are searching that one apartment, and he falls back. Brian falls back, and there are those religious nuts that are speaking, and it's supposed to be like a soapbox, whatever. And, and Brian is trying to keep from being caught by the Roman soldiers that are watching these guys. And so he stands there and he's like, consider the lily. And I love John Cleese's character. He's like, he's having a go at the lily now. Oh man. Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. Oh man. So anyway, yeah, she goes crazy, and then Parker grabs her, and he's like, well, how can you defend these people unless your relationship with them is more intimate than the public knows? And of course, Katrina slaps him, and which he does deserve that. I can't believe I wrote that, because that's not the type of person that I was back then. I was I was a very shy person before my seizure, I'll tell you that. I I really was. Good heavens. And then after the seizure, I was, oh yeah. Oh, good heavens. So, mm, um, so then, I mean, it's like there's no description at all. She just slaps him in the face, nothing. Then she says, as of right now, our relationship is over. And once my parents return, I will tell them my choice. Then Jay glares at her and says, you're going to regret what you just did. There should be some kind of emotional something. This is so Titanic, it's ridiculous. Like, honestly, because, like, isn't that the same kind of a deal like in Titanic where uh, the ship is sinking and Cal is, you know, Cal says some terrible thing to her and she spits in his face and she's like, I'd rather be his whore than your wife. Isn't that way? I've seen the movie twice, and I promise it's the only two. Oh, geez. Newsy punches him in the stomach again. Okay. This is in a church. Like, what is happening? Yeah, there's like all these people and they just stand there. Like, what? Oh, they get to the lodging house and they're all laughing at what just happened. Okay. Yeah, so they're telling Klotman about what happened. And I mean, like they're laughing hysterically and they think it's funny. And I don't know. Okay, so now Katrina's asking Spot for a favor. And oh, she's asking him to go after Parker. And I mean, like, Spot's ready, man. Yeah, he's like, I was waiting for you to say something. And then Jack, what? Are you sure that's a good idea? Uh, oh man. That whole scene is just stupid because it happened in a church and like the sermon that they chose, yeah, I kind of get it because it was, like the whole sweatshop. So I think I carefully chose what it was supposed to be and everything. But the rest of it, it was like, and then for him to say what he did and she just full blown slaps him, there needed to be more emotion to that and everything. And then for her to say, yeah, our relationship, yeah, that's. If you're a Titanic fan, please tell me that you are reading this and picking apart where it's Titanic. Because honestly, I've only seen it, and this has to be like 2002 or uh yeah, I'm pretty sure I read this before. I mean, I wrote this before because it seems like I was in here. And it was before I moved into the apartment room that we have. Because and I was sitting on the floor and I was writing it out and everything and all of that. And just and the last time that I saw Titanic, it had been released to VHS. So and that was before I graduated. So that and I graduated in 2000. Yeah, Carter is another one that I used quite a bit in my stories. The name Carter. Yeah, I'm surprised that there hasn't been anything about the 100th anniversary of the discovery of King Tut's tomb. Or I just haven't seen it. I mean, okay, so she just told Spot to go after Parker and this This story has just gotten a little dark. And now the door swung up. This place is not going to have a door ever again. Just take it down. Okay, and David and Les showed up because you had to have them show up at some point. Okay, what are you doing here? Katrina knows them, and and even Jack. How do you know these people? Okay, and David says, "I'll answer that one. We work for her dad." Okay, how old would Les be? He'd be 13. Because if he's 10, well, wait a minute, 10. No, 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 no. I am so bad at math right now. Okay, so I gotta do it on my fingers. Oh my gosh, this is so fucking pathetic. All right, so okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. I don't care anymore. I don't fucking give a shit. You figure it out. Les is older. He's not 10 anymore. Oh, it's like 3 in the morning. And why would David and Les work in the same place? That's you two are at church. And why would okay. Nothing makes sense in this. Just accept it for what it is. Uh, okay, so now one of them says to David, what do you think of your sister's replacement? Which, if you remember in chapter 1, uh, it was something to the effect of that she got married. So she's married and moved away. And I'm using some quotes from the movie. Okay. So now everybody's left except for Katrina and Jack. I used a word wrong here. That's at this point, who cares? Okay, so now they're holding each other. Okay, I have learned so much from you. Like what, like, okay. All right. So wording is everything. I've learned so much from you in the Newsies, like the truth instead of what my parents taught me. Well, you got to learn to tell the truth, dear. Like, because, he's asking her if she regrets the past week or, however long it's been since they met, which I don't know. I mean, none of this makes sense to me. And once again, Spot's leaving because that's what he does. It's like he's here for 5 seconds and then disappears. Yes, I am here. Now I must go. Oh. Okay, so she gets a message saying that Titanic's coming back sooner than expected. And yeah, now Jack's having a tantrum. He's mad that he may never see Katie again. And she's having a moment as well. Oh, she's crying. So now they're okay. Like throughout this whole thing, there has been barely any like emotional description at all, right? And now all of a sudden it's like towards the end and we're seeing emotion kind of. I'm so frustrated with this. Okay. Uh oh, he's a litter bug. Crumpled up the paper and threw it out the window, which was the telegraph message. Okay. Oh, you may have to choose between me or your parents. It should have been. Oh, geez. He kissed her. Like that's really gonna sway her decision. Yeah, biggest decision I've ever had to make. Okay. So now Snotty's going up to see how she's doing. And after something ridiculously sappy that he says, she hugs him. And so obviously, you know, he said what she needed to hear. Then she asked, "Where's Jack?" And okay. All the other guys are downstairs. She was upstairs. There was no indication that she went downstairs. She's just like, "Oh, yeah, where's Jack?" And it's like, uh, all you needed was another sentence there. Past me, get with the game here. Oh, so James is taking her home. Okay, so, oh, this could have had promise here. Okay, because it started with James walked around, Jack, I'm sorry, because my eyes did a thing. Okay, so Jack walked around Central Park thinking about how to deal with the problem of Katrina. He had to admit that being with the Newsies made her stronger, but not when it came to her parents, which, yeah, valid considering this whole thing. And I mean, this whole chunk is like, it's promising. Flesh it out a little bit and it could work. Because you also have here, then the thought came to him that maybe Katrina, it should be, wasn't the girl for him. And you could add more here because it's like the next sentence is immediately he quickly dismissed that thought because he knew Katie was the one. Well, you can't just say that. You have to add more reasoning to that and all of that. I mean, that's good. That, yeah. And as I said, flesh it out a little bit. See, this thing is so painful. I mean, there's some good stuff and some, just like in the last, it would have been part three, and technically the party. I mean, as soon as the party started, that's Yeah, as Pink says. When that whole sequence started, that's part three. Well, the whole scene with uh Katrina teaching Spot how to dance, absolutely adorable. Flesh it out a little bit, and you have a fantastic scene. It, this one right here. I mean, this whole time, we're in part four. This whole time, I have been having fits because throughout this whole thing, there's hardly any kind of emotion at all, right? Now we're seeing more emotion, and it's like, oh yeah, he thought he was angry. This, it's like more, man. So annoying. And but this one is, I mean, we get it now. And seriously, past me just was out to lunch. Okay. And I mean, even this sentence, darkness enveloped the city of New York, letting the night lights glow. I mean, that's a good sentence right there. Sometimes past me, but then it was like the rest of it was just terrible. I don't get it. Why couldn't you be like that always? And then a bunch of word vomit. So much word vomit. Oh, it was doing so well with Klopman. He had good lines, and that one was just terrible. Oh, and then it followed up. Okay, so Klopman comes in and sees Jack just frustrated, right? And he says, Jack, after all that you have done for that girl, you can't lose her now. And he says, so how do I keep her? And he says, you have to figure that out yourself. Well, yeah. Oh man, that's not true. Okay, so he went upstairs into the bunk room. Every newsie was asleep. Not true, because downstairs there were two newsies who talked to him. So not every newsie. Oh, okay. So she's at the house, and see again. So she's in front of her bedroom window and she's thinking. And she kept telling herself that Jack made her happy, so her parents would like him. So, like, this whole time, she's been trying to convince herself of that. All you have to do is flesh that out and it would work. She knew she was only fooling herself because her mother and father were sure she and Jay were going to get married. Need to work on the wording a little bit, but yeah. Okay, she had learned so much in the last week about the Newsies who she knew as non existent before. I mean, again, where was this kind of throughout the rest of it? We're nearing the end of part four, and yeah, this is. Okay, so she's in bed and she continues to think about, you know, the whole thing, like how much Jay has, turned like insane. And the whole thing with Jack, how it was so awkward the first time they met and all of that. So that's the end of part 4. We got one more. Um, I mean, that church scene was awful. Absolutely awful. That could have been removed and it would have been just fine. I I hate that scene. It's kind of like in the last one where it had the corset scene. Take that out. Totally fine. I mean, there are certain scenes in here. It's like I don't know why past me thought that this was significant, why it had to be there. And I think part of the problem is that my problem was is that I could not remove anything out of a story. It was like I truly believe that this is important to a story. I had I had an issue, and it was I could not get rid of anything that I wrote. And fortunately, that's been fixed. Yeah, that church scene was, oh my gosh, kill it. And and quite honestly, I don't remember David and Les ever leaving. The doors to the lodging house keep swinging and banging open. There's no door left. But yeah, Carter is a name that I use quite a bit. And I remember in 2002, it was like the anniversary, and there was like a discovery or something. And it wasn't long after that what was the guy's name? Bob Breyer. And and the reason that I remember his name is because he had the same name as the drummer from My Chemical Romance. But and he had the book that was The Murder of King Tut and all that. And I have the book. And it's an interesting book, even for it being outdated and everything. But yeah, it's been 100 years since King Tut's been found, discovered. I don't know what word to use. It's like 3:30 in the morning. Give me a break. But that church scene, that's painful. So we got one more chapter to go. I don't even know with this thing. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes. Before I close up, I'll say this. There's a lot of parts in here where it's just total word vomit. It's like this much of just like dialogue that could have been condensed to this. I'm trying to go through and figure out what was going on. So like there was a part where they're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In the church, it was like the pastor was saying stuff to the newsies, so it was the newsies versus the pastor, and blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, Jay shows up, and I'm like, what? So that kind of stuff is going through quite a bit, and all of this. So but we got one more to go. Oh my gosh, this. I didn't realize it sounded so much like Titanic. This is cracking me up.